Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. Imagine for a moment that living a good and happy life isn't about having lots of stuff or getting praise from others. It's actually about something inside you that you might not have noticed yet. This thing inside you is really powerful, and it's just waiting for you to discover it and use it. We're not just talking about ideas here, we're talking about something real. It's called Stoicism. It's an old way of thinking that has helped loads of people over time to live with purpose, bounce back from tough times, and stay calm inside. Stoicism says that the most important thing in life isn't money or fame. It's about being wise, brave, fair, and in control of yourself. These are the things that really matter. Even when the world around us is crazy and things are hard, Stoicism says that we have what it takes inside us to be okay. We just need to remember it. We're going on a journey to learn about Stoicism and how it can help us value ourselves more. It's not just about getting better at stuff, it's about remembering how awesome we are and living our lives in a way that feels right to us. So if you're ready to feel more free, strong, and happy, you're in the right place. Let's do this together. Don't skip any part of this because you're special and you're here for a reason. Let's learn and grow together. Sign 1. We've all been there, haven't we? Stuck in a job that makes us miserable, staying in relationships that don't make us happy, or letting our dreams slip away because we're scared. We settle. We compromise. We tell ourselves that this is the best it's going to get. But why do we do that? Is it fear? Is it because we're comfortable where we are? Stoicism tells us that our true worth, who we really are deep down, isn't defined by our circumstances. Whether we're living in luxury or struggling, what matters most is how we deal with it. It's about realizing that even though we can't control everything that happens to us, we can control how we react to it. Think about it. When we accept less than we deserve, aren't we basically saying that our situation has more power over us than we do? Stoicism challenges us to think differently. It asks us, is this situation in line with my values? Am I acting in a way that reflects my true worth? And if the answer is no, Stoicism doesn't leave us feeling hopeless. Instead, it tells us that we have the power to change our perspective, to choose our response, and to change our reality. So, when you catch yourself settling for less than you deserve, remember this Stoic wisdom. Remind yourself that your value isn't determined by your job, your relationship, or your bank account. It's determined by how true you stay to your values, how brave and wise you are no matter what life throws at you. This isn't about blaming ourselves for where we are. It's about realizing the power we have to change it. Let's not settle for less, not because we think we're better than anyone else, but because we know our own worth. Let's face life's challenges with strength and resilience, knowing who we are and what we stand for. And when we do that, we're not just surviving, we're thriving in true Stoic style. Stoicism doesn't encourage us to brag or boast. Instead, it teaches us to honestly recognize our own strengths and virtues. Second sign, minimizing your achievements. Why should we acknowledge our achievements? It's not about boasting or feeling proud. It's about recognizing the hard work, discipline, and determination it took to get there. It's about honoring our commitment to our goals and staying true to our values. Let's break it down a bit. In Stoicism, virtues like wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control are super important. When you achieve something, no matter how big or small, it's often because you've practiced these virtues. Maybe you needed courage to apply for that job, wisdom to handle challenges, or discipline to tidy up your closet. When you brush off your achievements as luck or something anyone could do, you're not just selling yourself short, you're undermining the virtues you've practiced to succeed. So, how do we change this mindset? How do we give ourselves credit without being arrogant? The Stoic way is about balance and honesty. It's about saying, yes, I worked hard for this. Yes, I faced challenges and overcame them. And yes, this achievement reflects my effort and virtues. It's about being honest with yourself and recognizing your own worth. Now think about something you've achieved recently, big or small. Consider the virtues you used to make it happen. Maybe you showed discipline, took a brave step, or used your wisdom. Take a moment to acknowledge it. This isn't about boasting. It's about understanding your own character and effort. Practicing this Stoic approach can change how we see ourselves and our successes. It helps us move past false modesty and appreciate our strengths and capabilities. Acknowledging our achievements isn't about ego. It's about recognizing the virtues we've embodied and the hard work we've put in. Now let's talk about something common: putting others before ourselves. It can feel noble and selfless, but constantly doing so can lead to burnout and resentment. Stoicism isn't about being selfish. It's about balance. It teaches us to care for ourselves while also caring for others. Third sign, prioritizing others' needs over your own. Why should we care for ourselves? It's not selfish. It's the key to being able to care for others effectively. Stoicism reminds us that before we can help others, we need to make sure we're doing okay, physically, mentally, and spiritually. Let's break it down. Stoicism talks about what we can control and what we can't. Our own thoughts, beliefs, actions, and yes, self-care are within our control. But we can't control the well-being of others as much as we might want to. What we can control is how ready we are to help and support those around us. Think about it this way: when you're well-rested, healthy, and at peace, how much better can you be for the people in your life? How much more patient, understanding, and present can you be? It's not just about physical health. It's about mental and emotional strength too. It's about being compassionate, offering good advice, and being strong for others. So, how do we balance this? How do we make sure we're taking care of ourselves while still helping others? It starts with understanding that self-care isn't selfish, it's necessary. It means making time for things that recharge us, like exercise, meditation, or just some quiet time alone. It means setting boundaries and saying no when we need to. And it's not about being selfish, it's about being the best we can be for the people we care about. I want you to think about one way you can prioritize your own well-being this week. Maybe it's going for a walk every day, spending time on a hobby you love, or setting limits on your work hours. Whatever it is, remember that taking care of yourself isn't just for you. It's so you can be there for others too. Stoicism also teaches us to see ourselves clearly. It means recognizing our strengths as much as our weaknesses. It's about being honest about who we are and working to be better every day. Fourth sign, struggling to accept compliments. Understanding our worth isn't about being full of ourselves. It's about seeing ourselves clearly and fairly. But why is it hard to accept compliments? Sometimes we look at ourselves through a twisted lens. We might focus too much on what's wrong with us or think that recognizing our strengths makes us stuck up. But here's what Stoicism tells us: being humble doesn't mean ignoring our strengths. It means seeing them realistically without letting our egos or insecurities get in the way. Stoicism teaches us that accepting compliments doesn't make us lesser. It helps us become more aware of ourselves and our abilities. When someone praises us, they're seeing something real in us, something worth celebrating. Brushing off compliments means missing out on seeing ourselves from another perspective. So, how do we get better at taking compliments? It starts with changing how we think. When someone says something nice, see it as a reflection of your hard work and good qualities. Instead of shrugging it off, just say thank you. No downplaying, no deflecting, just gratitude. Stoicism also tells us to use these moments to think about our strengths and efforts. Ask yourself, what did I do to deserve this praise? How does it show my good qualities? It's not about boosting your ego, it's about recognizing the part of you that can do great things. Have you ever had trouble making a decision, even a simple one? It's like standing on a diving board, knowing you need to jump but feeling frozen. Stoicism can help with that too. It's like a light in the darkness of indecision. Fifth sign, avoiding decision-making. Stoicism teaches us that making smart decisions isn't about always getting what we want. It's about using wisdom and logic to guide our choices. Stoicism reminds us that while we can't control every outcome, we're totally in charge of how we make decisions. It's about making choices that match our values, being honest, and accepting whatever happens next as just part of life's ups and downs. Why are we so scared of making decisions? Most times it's because we're afraid of messing up and feeling like failures. But in Stoicism, mistakes aren't failures, they're lessons. Every outcome teaches us something new. This outlook encourages us to trust ourselves to make decisions boldly, knowing that even if things don't go as planned, we'll still learn and grow. But how do we build that trust in ourselves? How do we get better at making decisions? It starts with using wisdom and logic. Before making a choice, pause and think. Does this match my values? Am I being honest with myself? By grounding our decisions in what really matters to us, we can feel confident that we're doing our best with what we know. Stoicism also teaches us to learn from every outcome, good or bad. Each result gives us insights into what went well and what did not. It's a chance to think, learn, and grow. This process helps us trust ourselves more, knowing that we can handle whatever life throws our way. Stoicism also talks about focusing our mental energy in the right places. Instead of dwelling on our mistakes, we should focus on getting better. Perfection isn't real. Progress is what matters. We need to keep moving forward, learning from our experiences and becoming better versions of ourselves. So why do we beat ourselves up so much? It's time to let go of that excessive self-criticism and focus on progress instead. Stoicism teaches us to be kinder to ourselves, to learn from our mistakes, and to keep growing, one step at a time. Sixth sign, excessive self-criticism. The reason we often feel inadequate is because we're holding ourselves to impossible standards, ones we wouldn't expect from anyone else. We forget that being human means making mistakes and learning from them. Stoicism offers a solution to this self-imposed pressure, self-compassion and striving for progress, not perfection. Self-compassion in Stoicism isn't about making excuses for ourselves. It's about treating ourselves with kindness and understanding, just like we would a friend. It means realizing that setbacks are part of being human and asking ourselves, what can I learn from this? How can I grow? Every effort, even if it doesn't turn out the way we hoped, is a step forward. But why do we always compare ourselves to others? It's natural to measure our worth against those around us, but social media has made it even worse. We see highlights of other people's lives and start questioning our own. Stoicism teaches us to focus on our own journey, to be aware of our growth, and to appreciate our progress. Stoicism doesn't mean ignoring others' successes. It's about finding inspiration in them instead of feeling inadequate. We can admire what others achieve without diminishing our own value. So, how can we use Stoic principles to overcome the comparison trap? First, by practicing mindfulness and recognizing when we're comparing ourselves to others. Then, by shifting our focus inward, appreciating our own growth and virtues. Stoicism teaches us that our worth isn't defined by others' achievements. It's about our own progress and how we continue to improve. Seventh sign, constant comparison with others. When we look at other people's social media and compare their polished posts to our everyday moments, it's important to remember that what we see online is like a curated gallery. It doesn't show the full picture of real life. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our efforts, attitudes, and virtues. These are the things that shape our unique journey, regardless of what others are doing. By nurturing these aspects of ourselves, we build a rich inner life that doesn't rely on outside validation or comparison. Gratitude also plays a big role. When we appreciate our own experiences, challenges, and achievements, we find contentment in the present moment. It's not about settling for less. It's about striving for growth from a place of satisfaction, not feeling inadequate. Have you ever put off doing something you really wanted to do, like taking a course or starting a hobby? Many of us do this, and it's often because we don't recognize our own worth. But Stoicism challenges us to see self-improvement as an act of self-respect. Stoicism teaches us that our ability to think and act with virtue is what makes us truly fulfilled. Like a garden that needs care to thrive, our inner world requires attention too. Neglecting our personal growth is like neglecting a garden. It won't flourish without care. So why do we hesitate to invest in ourselves? Sometimes it's because we prefer quick pleasures over long-term fulfillment. Other times it's because we struggle with self-esteem or believe we're not worthy of investment. But Stoicism tells us otherwise. It tells us that we are worth it. Eighth sign, lack of personal investment. Stoicism offers a different way of looking at things. It says that every person has value and the potential to be better. When we invest in ourselves by learning new things, enjoying hobbies, or taking care of ourselves, we're recognizing that value and honoring it. So how do we start investing in ourselves the Stoic way? It starts with changing how we think. We need to see self-improvement as something important, something we can't ignore. But it doesn't mean we have to change everything overnight. It's about making small, consistent efforts to improve ourselves. Maybe it's reading a book, meditating for a few minutes each day, or picking up a hobby that makes us happy. Stoicism also teaches us about reflecting on ourselves. By looking at our strengths and where we can grow, we can guide our efforts to invest in ourselves. Setting goals and checking in on our progress gives us purpose and direction. It's not just about achieving things, it's about living a life that matches our values and makes us feel fulfilled. Another big idea is lifelong learning. The Stoics believe that wisdom isn't something we reach, it's a journey we're always on. Being curious and open to new experiences can change how we see investing in ourselves. It's not a chore, it's an exciting adventure, a chance to learn and grow. Stoicism reminds us that true validation comes from within. It's not about what others think of us, it's about how we feel about ourselves. Seeking approval from others usually comes from feeling insecure or afraid that we're not good enough. But Stoicism tells us to focus on our own journey, to live by our values, and to find peace in being true to ourselves. That's where real fulfillment comes from. Sign number 9, seeking external validation. So how do we stop relying on others to feel good about ourselves? The first step is being aware of our tendency to seek approval. By paying attention to why we do things, we can figure out if we're chasing goals for ourselves or just for the applause. Stoicism tells us to reflect regularly on our intentions. It's about making sure our actions line up with our own values and principles, not just seeking validation from others. Another Stoic idea is being self-sufficient. This doesn't mean cutting ourselves off from others. It means finding happiness within ourselves. We are already complete, as Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, reminds us. By focusing on what we can control and letting go of what we can't, we rely less on other people's opinions. Stoicism also says we should rethink what success means. Instead of measuring it by awards or achievements, we should measure it by how well we live by our values. Success, according to Stoicism, is about being virtuous, thinking clearly, and being strong when life gets tough. Imagine feeling stuck in a thick forest, where every step is a struggle. It might be a toxic job or unhealthy relationships that make us feel trapped. Stoicism gives us a way out. It says that while our environment affects us, we also have the power to change it. Marcus Aurelius, another Stoic, reminds us that our inner peace comes from how we respond to things, not just what's happening around us. Why do we stay in bad situations? Sometimes we're scared of change or doubt our worth. Stoicism challenges these fears by showing us that we're valuable and capable of making choices. It encourages us to question the idea that we're stuck and to see that we can change our circumstances or how we think about them. Sign number 10, tolerance of negative environments. Stoicism gives us tools to deal with and change our surroundings. One important practice is building inner strength and independence. This doesn't mean being cold or distant. It's about making our inner selves strong so we can stick to our values even when things around us get tough. By building this inner strength, we become less affected by negative stuff and better at making choices that are good for us. Another Stoic idea is living in harmony with nature, which means finding peace in ourselves and our surroundings. It's about making sure we're in places that help us grow, stay healthy, and be happy. We deserve respect, kindness, and positive interactions, so we shouldn't settle for less. Practically, this could mean setting boundaries in relationships, looking for better job opportunities, or finding friends who support us. It's also about spending time on things like meditation, writing, or hobbies that make us feel good mentally and emotionally. Why are we so scared? We're afraid of losing things, like wasting time or being judged by others. Stoicism says it's okay to be scared, but we should think about what we could gain. It tells us to compare our fears with the potential for growth, happiness, and achieving our dreams. Stoicism teaches us that trying to be good and true to ourselves is worth it, even if we don't always succeed. One way Stoicism helps us face our fears is by thinking about the worst things that could happen, called negative visualization today. It's like preparing ourselves mentally for tough times so we can handle them better. Sign number 11, fear of pursuing dreams. Let's talk about facing our fears head-on. It's about thinking about the worst things that could happen, not to dwell on them, but to show ourselves that we can handle them. Often, when we really think about our fears, they seem less scary than we thought. It's not about being careless, but about understanding that failure, while possible, isn't the end of the road. It's just another step in our journey of learning and growing. Another Stoic idea that can help us go after our dreams is called amor fati, which means loving our fate. It's about embracing everything that happens to us, not just accepting it, but being excited about it. When we approach life this way, we're ready for all the ups and downs that come with it. This mindset helps us break free from fear and move forward with bravery. Stoicism reminds us to live according to our own values and potential. Our worth isn't about what we achieve on the outside, but about how we live our lives, being honest, hardworking, and brave. When we're too scared to chase our dreams, it's not just about missing out on success. It's about missing out on living a life that's true to who we are. Why do we forget this important lesson? It's because we all want to feel connected and accepted, but sometimes we look for our worth in what others think of us or in how successful we are. Stoicism teaches us that our true value comes from inside, from being true to ourselves. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, said that real freedom comes from letting go of our desires, not from getting everything we want. This applies to how we see our worth too. True happiness comes from knowing and embracing our own value. Stoicism tells us to focus on building our character, not just chasing after achievements. Our worth isn't about titles or awards. It's about being the best version of ourselves. That's where true fulfillment lies. Sign number 12, failure to recognize your own worth. Our value isn't measured by how much money we have, the things we own, or how many people like us. It's about how we live our lives with honesty, kindness, and bravery, no matter what's happening around us. Sure, achievements and praise are nice, but they're not what really matters. Our value comes from who we are inside, like the stars shining in the sky. Once we realize this, we don't have to keep chasing after other people's approval all the time. So how do we learn to see our own worth like Stoics do? It starts with looking inside ourselves, recognizing our good qualities, the things we've done well, and how strong we've been when things got tough. It means being thankful for who we are and what we can do, knowing that these things are what truly make us valuable. It also means not letting other people's opinions or our own successes or failures determine our worth. It's not about not caring, but about seeing things from a bigger perspective, about what really matters in our lives. Sometimes it's hard to feel valuable. Maybe we've been hurt in the past, or we've been told we're not good enough. We might compare ourselves to others and feel like we don't measure up. But Stoicism tells us to challenge those thoughts. It reminds us that everyone has struggles, and happiness isn't a limited thing that only certain people deserve. Stoicism helps us see that our worth doesn't come from what we have or what we've done. It comes from being true to ourselves and living by our values. Sign number 13, feeling unworthy of happiness. Happiness isn't something we earn or wait for, it's something we create every day. Stoicism teaches us to think about what really matters to us, to make choices based on those things, and to find happiness in doing what's right and reasonable. It's about focusing on what we can control, our thoughts, actions, and reactions, and letting go of what we can't. So, how do we start living this way? We need to change how we think about happiness. Instead of tying it to achievements or what others think of us, we should see it as something that comes from living a good life, making the best choices we can, and appreciating what we have right now. Stoicism also reminds us to be grateful. When we focus on what we have instead of what we lack, we see that there's a lot to be happy about in our everyday lives. Stoicism also tells us that we're not alone in our journey to happiness. Having strong relationships and supporting others is important. When we're connected to others, we realize that our worthiness of happiness is confirmed not just by us, but by the people around us who care about us. As we learn from Stoicism, remember that you're in control of your own happiness. You're capable of making your dreams come true and deserving of all the good things that come your way. If you want to learn more about Stoic practices, check out the video on the screen, and if this message speaks to you, share it with your friends. Let's spread the wisdom of Stoicism and help others find their worth and happiness too. Thanks for being here with Stoicism Digest. Until next time, stay Stoic.